Better.
Why on the wrong day Congress manifesto?
The wrong man.
See, like
I don't.
we were discussing, you will find a conspiracy angle. You will find a conspiracy angle to this also.
I'll find. You already found. Even if there is none, we'll find one. He's already found the conspiracy angle. Well, as you are aware, as you are aware, the CPIM is bringing out a series of pamphlets, which is part of our election campaign, explaining various aspects of our manifesto, which was the first to be released by the National Political Party. And on various aspects of this, we are bringing out detailed explanations of why we have formulated certain demands in the manifesto. The pamphlets that are being released today relate to the economic inequalities in our country, which is the reality of two Indias, and calling for a corruption-free India. What is happening in India today, and which is why the basic thrust of our manifesto and our appeal to people is for an alternative trajectory of policies which the country needs to implement. According to our assessment, which is only getting confirmed by the day as the campaign has begun, the people in our country are looking for relief in their day-to-day life from the growing economic burdens that are being imposed by these policies. This price rise, this economic slowdown, this growth in unemployment, and this is pushing a large number of people into situations where they can barely survive. The privatization of public utilities and services is making the cost of what was once considered the governmental responsibility. Their costs have increased very significantly. Thereby, education for the children has become more expensive. Healthcare for the elderly has become more expensive. And this also is pushing a large section of people into conditions of misery. So all of this put together is the result is that there are today two Indias being created. What we have been saying for some time now, nearly a decade, but now this has become much more reinforced. You have a shining India on the one hand, and on the other hand, you have a suffering India, or what we call the Gamata Bharat and the Tarasta Bharat. And this divide is increasing by the day. In the pamphlet, we have given you how the private capitalist sector, their assets have multiplied during this period. We have given you international agencies' assessments of the number of dollar billionaires that we have in our country. And in the worst year of economic slowdown, that is 2013-2014, the dollar billionaires in India have grown from 53 to 70. And they have the combined assets of these 70 individuals is between 1/3 and 1/2 of India's GDP. 70 individuals own assets equal to 1/3 to 1/2 of India's GDP, while the rest of the GDP is for the rest of the 120 crores of people. So that is the reality. Now, we believe in our country there is no dearth of resources. But these resources are either being looted through corruption. And corruption is the biggest source for creation of these two Indias. The crony capitalism that is generated by these economic policies is what is creating this divide between the two Indias, which is growing. And therefore, corruption and these economic policies creating two Indias are intrinsically interconnected. You cannot fight corruption unless you reverse these economic policies. And that is the first conclusion that we have come to. So all talk of a Lokpal and a corrupt-free India are all very noble thoughts. They are all very laudable thoughts. We fully support them. In fact, this is the 9th time the Lokpal has come to the Parliament, and finally we passed it, nearly 4 decades later. And of these 9 times, at least on 5 occasions, it was the CPIM that pushed the Lokpal onto the agenda of a government that was formed. Whereas in the common minimum program of the Devagowda's government or the common minimum program of Manmohan Singh's government, we pushed it through, but we have always maintained, which we moved amendments to the Parliament also, that unless you tackle corruption, the source of corruption, which is the supply side of corruption, you cannot really tackle corruption. So Lokpal bill, according to us, is still faulty because it does not tackle the supply side of corruption, it does not bring the private sector and the PPP projects into the ambit of the Lokpal. And until that is done, corruption cannot really be tackled in the proper sense. So if you want a corrupt-free India, strengthening Lokpal by bringing in the private sector is one aspect. But if you want a corrupt-free India, you have to reverse these economic policies where provision of facilities for the private sector to enhance profits as the motive will have to be reversed. The last 5 years of UPA 2 government, Pranab Mukherjee, the finance minister, gave us 3 years of budget where he presented a document called Statement on Tax Foregone. Mr. P. Chidambaram, when he took over as the finance minister after Pranab Mukherjee became the president of India, stopped publication of that document. The last budget papers do not contain that. Because that document showed us that every year, on an average, more than 5 lakh crores of rupees is being lost as revenue by the government because of tax concessions. These are legitimate taxes. If these taxes are collected and used through public investments to build our infrastructure, then a huge number of additional jobs can be created. The people who get the salaries from those jobs, when they start spending it, there will be demand in the economy. And that will serve as the impetus for manufacturing growth and industrial growth. So you will have a growth which will be more inclusive growth. And you will utilize your resources for the people's welfare. This alternative is available. So what we are saying today is, plug the corruption sources, stop these sweetheart deals, stop this PPP project as the cover for promoting crony capitalism and corruption. On the other hand, collect your legitimate taxes. Nobody is saying increase your tax rates. Collect your legitimate taxes. Use those taxes for public investments to build your social and economic infrastructure. Create lakhs of new jobs as a result. Your demographic dividend, where 54% of your youth is below the age of 40. Provide them jobs by using these resources. And that will lead to a growth pattern where on the basis of domestic demand, your industry will grow. And you will have greater equity in the economy. Industry cannot grow today on the basis of export markets because of global slowdown and recession. The only way the economy can grow is by strengthening your domestic market and domestic demand. Instead of doing that, you are providing tax concessions for the rich as incentives for growth. You are cutting the subsidies for the poor because it is bad for growth. Subsidies for the rich are incentives for growth. Subsidies for the poor are bad for growth. This logic of the government and this logic that is shared both by the BJP and the Congress has to be reversed. So that is the thrust of our alternative policy direction. So it is on the basis of this alternative policy direction that we are appealing to the people to vote for the left, strengthen the left, and to work for an alternative government that will be able to implement this alternative policy direction, because narrowing the gap between the two Indias is very, very important for India's future. With one half of our children malnutrition, what Prime Minister calls national shame, in his words, with our pregnant mothers creating the future of India, 2/3 of them suffering from anemia. The quality of children that are being produced, you know how that will be. If this is the future state in India, then we are in for a very, very bad time. This has to change. If this has to change, corruption has to be plugged, the policies have to be changed in the direction of what I told you. Marshal our resources for our people's benefit, not for providing profits for the capital, whether foreign or domestic. So this is the thrust of these two factors that we have released today. And this is in essence that you what we are appealing to the people about. What is our vision for creating a better India? And what is the vision for stopping this divide between the shining and suffering or the chamakta and thirst of life? So that is the essence. I am not going into the details of this or this there. Yes, sir. Clearly on this you don't seem to be having questions.
No, I prefer to ask.
So don't ask me other questions now.
I just want to
No,
ask.
it's only a habit I'm looking at you to me.
They can't make Kerala and
That's why.
Not challenging. Comparing to Gujarat, Kerala. Yeah. No, when you're talking about corruption,
A lot of things CPIM flag is getting faded in Kerala. Something.
no, when you're talking about corruption, you have mentioned the solar scam in Kerala. But the party, look at me. The party secretary is accused in a corruption case. Opposition leader, he is involved in a case. The Supreme Court, they can't watch the FIR. That is a land deal scam case. Okay. He is involved in another case of what is the position of the party when we talk about corruption free?
Party's position has been very clear on all corruption cases. We said that all of them have to be thoroughly investigated, the guilty have to be brought to book. And in many cases which we think are blatantly politically motivated, we said we will fight it politically and legally. We have fought it politically and legally in one of the famous cases in Kerala. And legally, the charges have been squashed in the Latvian case. So all other cases also, the law will take its course and we shall fight them. when we think these are presently in politically motivated.
But in the Labrador case, the CC member, Mr. Achyutanandan, has very clearly said it's the lowest court that has got the charges. There are other courts, and he will go by what the CC
Whenever you quote to a CC member, you also add to it the date when he said what.
Last week, 2 days.
So 1 day ago, he said that the court has cleared it. So that's why that's important. You know that as well. Yes. Those who believe that there is India other than Kerala.
I just want to ask you, Sita, since you said that the BJP and the Congress have almost similar kind of economic policies, now there's another party called Aam Aadmi Party who are actually campaigning on the same points which you raised today. How do you see yourself different from Aam Aadmi Party?
See, point is that there are many issues that the Aam Aadmi Party is raising which are either the same or very similar to what we are raising. And it is no secret that the Aam Aadmi Party leaders have shared this information with us for some years now. They have come to our offices and taken the files of much of these things, particularly about the Krishna Godavari case and gas schemes. And if you notice whether it is the 2G scam or whether it is this gas deals, gas pricing, if there was any party in the parliament that consistently raised this issue on the gas pricing, it was the CPIM. I have personally participated at least in 2 debates on it, and it was raised at least 2-3 occasions, apart from me, in the parliament by CPIM members. So all of these are issues on which, and we have no complaint. I mean, these are all things which we have publicly said, and we want others to use this material to make it a more popular campaign. So on these matters that the Aam Aadmi Party is taking, there is no issue. I mean, it's good that they are taking. But what we are saying is, remember, certain issues are manifestations of corruption. But what is important is to nip corruption at its genesis. What is the genesis? According to us, it is these policies of liberalization that have expanded the scope for corruption immensely. Fighting corruption is a very good moral, noble issue. But there are types of corruption and corruption. I mean, you never thought of 1,76,000 crores worth of corruption, even a decade earlier. Even today, to many of you, I don't know whether anybody of you have experimented, try to get onto your computer or if you have a graphics software, try and picture the amount of space that 1,76,000 crores in 1,000 rupee notes will take. As a side exercise, I'm just when you're bored, you go onto the computer and do this. It will be a very interesting thing that you will come across. Your mind will improve. What is the space that is involved to keep this amount of money? So this dimension of corruption that you are seeing is directly connected to the sort of policies that you have of this public-private investment, privatization, and through these sweetheart deals, which is what is crony capitalism. So unless you target the reversal of these policies, corruption cannot be ended. Then that clarity is yet to come. We are hoping it will come. And on the question of communism, there was a survey that was done, a poll, maybe a paid opinion poll, I don't know. But what we said, the majority of the AAP supporters prefer Narendra Modi as Prime Minister. So if that is the case, then maybe we stand. No, that is the point. Point is on communism, on the economic policies, what is the position? We hope during the course of the campaign, during the course of the interactions, more clarity will come.
Sita, the truth is that left parties we have seen inside Parliament, outside Parliament, have been sort of, having this kind of dharnas and raising this issue of corruption for many years. But today, if you see the situation, it's not the left party who are attracting people towards them, it's Aam Aadmi Party who are actually attracting people towards them on the issue of corruption? Do you think you have not been able to mobilize people?
See, the point is attracting people momentarily and sustaining people's support. Remember, in our generation, when we first came to politics, at a time when there was a slogan called the total revolution. What happened?
Why?
Do you remember, the younger generation, there was a slogan called the total revolution. Remember, there was a gentleman called Mr. Jayprakash Narayan. Not too long ago. So that's why momentarily coming is different from sustaining. Sustaining will only come when there is consistency to your politics and what is the alternative you offer.
जब से गालीगढ़ की शुरुआत हुई है तब से लगातार आप इन बातों को उठा रहे हैं और ग्राउंड में प्रैक्टिकलिटी में बातें सही भी लगती हैं, लेकिन चाहे आप जितनी भी जैसे बीजेपी की पूरी जो कैंपेन है वो यूपी बिहार में केंद्रित है और उत्तरी राज्यों में केंद्रित है, फिर अभी तक ऐसा मोबिलाइजेशन आपकी ओर से ग्राउंड में क्यों नहीं दिखता है चुनाव जीतने के लिए? क्योंकि ये सारी बातें तो तभी होंगी जब चुनाव जीतेंगे।
देखिए जरा, चुनाव जीतने के लिए बात होती है कि आवाम जो है वोट डाल पाए। मीडिया भी डालता है, लेकिन मतलब मीडिया से ज्यादा आवाम जो है तय करता है ना। अब आवाम जो है वो जुड़ता है आपके संघर्षों में, वो जुड़ता है आपके मतलब अगर हम भी अगर 1 घंटे में 10,000 रुपए का देकर जो कैमरा का राय करके हमारे इसका आपको फ्री का फीड दे देंगे तो दिखाइए आप, क्योंकि आपका खर्चा कम हो गया। अब हल्ला बनने के बाद अब थोड़ा थोड़ा नीचे से आ रहा बीजेपी फीड, बीजेपी फीड। 1 साल तो दिखा बिना लिखे, और उसी के बगल में उससे 4 गुना बड़ा धरना चलता है कि सबको जो है आप 35 किलो अनाज 2 रुपए किलो में APL PPL सबको दो। 3 गुना ज्यादा भीड़ होती है जितना अन्ना हजारे का होता है बगल में। अन्ना हजारे का जो 24/7 आप कवरेज को देते हो उसमें हमारे लालगढ़ या हमारे कॉमरेड को भी दिखाते हो, लेकिन हमारे धरना के बारे में एक भी शब्द नहीं। आप ना ही हो तब भी वो लोग तो है ना धरने में, वो तो वोट डालेंगे। तो इसलिए जो आपको जो लग रहा है क्यों प्रभावित नहीं कर रहे हो, तो प्रभाव जो है सीधा लोगों के बीच में जा रहा है, वो नंदी जी बताएंगे।
स्ट्रेटेजी का फेलियर नहीं है कि स्ट्रेटेजी बनाने में कहीं कम रह गए, मतलब ये ब्लेम करना है मीडिया का वाली का, तो लगता है कि स्ट्रेटेजी में जो थोड़ा एग्रेसिव कैंपेन हो सकता था या प्रेजेंस आपकी और अच्छी दिखाई जा सकती थी, उसमें कहीं फेलियर नहीं लगता।
देखो भाई, इसको मेरे से ज्यादा आप लोग समझते हो। जितना भी मेहनत करके आप लोग पीढ़ी भेजोगे तो मालिक दिखाएगा कि नहीं उसका निर्णय है, तो आप क्यों इस पर बहस कर रहे हो कि हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी ठीक होगी या नहीं होगी? अब बात यह है कि अब सवाल ये है कि पूंजीवादी व्यवस्था में मालिक तय करता है किसका पूंजी है।
मुजफ्फरनगर दंगों के लिए सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने यूपी सरकार को जिम्मेदार ठहराया है, क्या रिएक्शन?
यार ये बात जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट की ये जो निर्णय या राय जो आई है, पता नहीं राय के रूप में दिया या निर्णय के रूप में दिया या जो भी वो आई है, उससे पहले ही कई दिन पहले हम लोगों का यही बात था जो कह रहे थे कि वहां की प्रदेश की सरकार का भी एक बहुत बड़ा जिम्मेदारी रहा, गैर जिम्मेदारी इस पूरे करने में। ना सिर्फ हम ये बात कह रहे थे, मुलायम सिंह जी यादव जब आए थे हमारे सांप्रदायिकता विरोधी कन्वेंशन में, जब उनसे भी कहा गया तो वो खुद स्वयं वहीं पर भाषण में उन्होंने कहा कि ये हमारे जो मित्र लोग कह रहे हैं ये बात सही है, कुछ हमारी तरफ से कमजोरी आ रही है प्रशासन की तरफ से, उसको हम दुरुस्त कर रहे हैं।
इतना ये सवाल महत्वपूर्ण इसलिए मुलायम सिंह ने भी उस दंगों का ठीकरा बाकी पार्टियों पर छोड़ दिया और खाना पूर्ति में कह दिया कि हमारी ओर से गलतियां हैं। सवाल महत्वपूर्ण इसलिए है क्योंकि आप उनके साथ जाकर एक थर्ड फ्रंट का सपना बुन रहे हैं, लेफ्ट पार्टी जो मुलायम सिंह के साथ तमाम पार्टियां। अब अगर ऐसे ये जिम्मेदारी को देश की सबसे बड़ी अदालत ये कहती है कि नहीं जिम्मेदार आप ही हैं, आपकी वजह से हुआ है, क्या आपकी पार्टी अभी भी उनका हाथ पकड़कर लोकसभा चुनाव में जाएगी?
कोर्ट ने ये नहीं कहा कि आपकी वजह से दंगे हुए,
आप जिम्मेदार हैं।
कोर्ट ने ये कहा कि दंगों के लिए जो होना चाहिए था वो नहीं हुआ, उसके लिए आप जिम्मेदार हैं। दंगे करवाए वो एक अपराध है। दंगे जब हो रहे थे उसको रोकने का काम, या उसके अंदर जो अफसोस की बात जिसका मतलब नुकसान हुआ उन लोगों के लिए पुनर्वास का और उनको राहत देने का काम, उसके अंदर कमजोरियां आई है, भारी कमजोरियां आई है। ये कोर्ट का कहना था, हमारा कहना। तो दोनों को मत मिलाएं। जो अपराध किया दंगों का, उनमें से भाजपा ने कितने लोगों को टिकट दिया? अब उसको नजरअंदाज करके इसी की बात पर हो गया। इसमें मालिकों की बात नहीं है, होटलों की भी बात।
So you know mentioned about solar scam in the booklet. Are you planning to take solar scam as a national campaign issue?
It's already become an issue, and on that people will give their opinion.
The booklet you mentioned both. In the booklet you have mentioned both Mukesh Ambani as well as Adani. Would you at least consider that when it comes to taking this issue, those of us who covered you, we've seen how you're placed in Parliament. Would you at least consider that Kejriwal takes it and breaks it down in the public domain in a language that's more easily identifiable? We talk of policies, you don't pinpoint at these individuals.
No, the point is that if he is taking up the same issue and highlighting it to the public, welcome, very good. I'm not denying it or opposing it, that's very good. You see, there is also a feeling which I'm sure you will agree, as much as I do, and you're used to it by now, as much as I am, that after all, the left will always take up these issues. I mean, that is, you expect the left to take up anti-corruption issues and fight on them, etc. But somebody else taking them up is news. That is important. That is your point.
Sir, if they perform well, as far as Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, if they perform well in Lok Sabha elections, would you consider to take them on board with their parties?
It's up to them. I've fully and completely said, remember one thing, which I keep on repeating, but I think it's worth repeating, that India's electoral experience tells us for the last 4 decades or more, every time a coalition government was formed at the center, the front that formed that coalition, the final shape of the front only took place post-election. The final shape of the Janata Party, 1977, came post-election. United Front, which was formed post-election when Devagowda became the Prime Minister. BP Singh became the Prime Minister post-election arrangement. Of course, the left and the right supported both from outside. And BJP was very upset with the left because of us they couldn't enter the government. Your Vajpayee became the Prime Minister because NDA was formed post-election in 1998. Remember waiting for the famous letter from Jayalalitha for 2 days, which all of you said Sensex crashed because of that. Forgetting what happened internationally, that's a different point. But that was that was formed post-election. Manmohan Singh became Prime Minister when the UPA was formed post-election. So history will teach us something. Remember, 2014 it will be post-election also. So who will come, who will not, will be determined then, and it's up to them. We are here. We want an alternative government, alternative not for power, not for government, alternative for alternative policy.
I'm saying the election process is so long that during the election people will forget about these commitments.
Longer is the process of 5 years of government. No? So the same question will remain then also. For 5 years, are you sure they will continue with this policy? You can go on asking that. If they don't continue, then it will fall like they were as well. Like Gujarat. So then, that is the vibrancy of our democracy.
But when you talk about post-election arrangement, CPIM is never interested in being part of the government, any government. Why should people vote for CPIM?
You're part of the left-wing government for 35 years.
In the center.
No, center, I know.
We are part of the LDF government in Kerala for 35
Bengal
years.
is a non-case, I'm talking. Center.
Bengal is part of India.
No, center.
Kerala is part of India. You are talking of India.
Central government, you answer my question.
Will you again make the mistake of not carrying the gun?
Exactly.
All that as we have decided in our party progress, every time whether we join a government, supported from the outside, etc., that is we a decision. Our central committee will take post-election depending on the conflict situation. So wait for the elections and that. But at least one thing you grant, we are against intellectual property rights. You know that. We almost discussed it. But if there is any intellectual property right in Indian politics, you must give the CPIM the right of the concept of outside support.
Like how big become important.